Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the podcast where a real statistics professor
And the same odds to us, Frodo.
gives you sports betting tips. I am Professor Sides. You can follow me and find all my picks on Twitter at Professor Sides. Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, and this episode covers today's best college basketball bets. In case you're new here, I built a mathematical model that predicts what the spread and total should be for every Division I college basketball game. That information, along with a graded A, B, or C pick for each of today's games, is available in the rule sheet that is linked in the show's description. Picks that get an A are the ones I love, picks that get a B are the ones I like, and picks that get a C are the leans. However, please remember that good and bad variance will occur. So as much as I'd like to say the model will be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Jake, yesterday, other than a new hatred for San Diego, the university, not the city, lovely city, great place to visit, but the university, other than that, screwing up a couple of picks, what did we learn yesterday?
Well, we learned that when we said the game of the night with Texas Tech, Kansas, that lived up to the hype. If you stayed up for it, what a game. That was double overtime, both teams having chances to win. It was incredible. During the game, we figured out Texas Tech really can't shoot the ball well at all. And that's going to be, from at least from three, like it's going to be a real downfall for them if they can't get that figured out. Because other than that, they're a really, really good team. And Kansas is an extremely good team who it seems like to take their foot off the gas. Like they had I think they were up 7 with about 3 left. Let Texas Tech come back. I think they pushed the lead up to around 15 or so during the game and still let them come back. They got to figure that out, which is surprising to me from a Bill Self coach team.
And you talked about Texas Tech struggling with the three. I noticed that actually looking today at some previous totals. When Tech goes under on the total, man, they go under. And it's like they get in these ugly defensive games. They can't score. Like you said, it's the three ball is an easy way to go ahead and put some quick points on the board. And like you said, it's not a new thing for them. It's something that if they want to really round out me title contenders, I'm with you. I think that's something that they really need to add to their repertoire. And then if other than that, though, like you said, they're pretty incredible.
Yeah, Texas Tech and Tennessee went to an overtime game that didn't break 60, I think. It's crazy to think. And, man, Seton Hall has been bitten by the injury bug all year, and they just need a bye week or two, just to sit back and get everybody healthy and maybe play with a full roster.
Yeah, neither one of us was aware that they had one of their better players out on concussion protocol for last night, and that was some not good news. And they really struggled, like you said, yesterday. Pretty interesting slate tonight. A lot of good games, a lot of late games. Hopefully you're wanting to stay up late. We're going to start off with a 6 p.m. game Central Time in the Big Ten, Michigan State at Illinois. The model thinks the total should be 146, so I've got a B pick on the over 144 and a half. My question, who's playing for Illinois? Is Kofi playing? At the time of this recording, we still don't know. Curbelo missed practice over the weekend with an illness, apparently non-COVID related, so we don't know if he's going to play. I like the over here. Maybe it's just memories of watching Michigan State get up and down the court on Friday against Wisconsin. If Kofi is out, like we talked about yesterday, that defense takes a hit. So I think there's a lot of ways this game goes over. I just don't think that total is high enough. Jake, what's your pick for this one?
Yeah, I'm on the over with you. I think Michigan State has a good chance to win this outright if Kofi's not playing.
Yeah.
They shoot the ball extremely well. They're fast. And like we saw last game, like Illinois kind of gets lost. Like their guards aren't as good when they don't have Kofi to like eat some space, both offensively and defensively. So maybe Underwood has that figured out, but I doubt he's got it figured out in a week where one of his better guards was missing from practice. Like it's a bad timing for this matchup for Illinois. And man, Michigan State's on a run here with getting key players to not play against them. I mean, I know they lost the Northwestern game, but Nance was out for that one. Tyler Wall was out for Wisconsin. And now Kofi, maybe Curbelo might be out. I mean, it's a good time to make a run through the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like with Gabe Brown and Christie, I think the over is safe, and I think the 5.5 is definitely pretty safe, and possibly win that outright.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of points there in a game where we just don't know who is playing for Illinois. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, we have some more information. Maybe we don't know until right before the game, which is obviously a little more unfortunate. 7 p.m. Central Time, Kansas State at Baylor. Quite a large number on this one. Baylor is a 14-point favorite. I'm going to take the under 135 and a half. The model thinks it should be about 133 and a half. What I noticed on this one is that these two teams tend to play to their opponent's style, which is interesting. Did they play each other? How are they going to play? I think there's a lot of ways this goes under. So I think that is the smart play. If this is a Baylor, the second half could get ugly and boring. If it's tight, it's a situation where Kansas State is not going to want to push the pace. And I think that's kind of the general thought process here. I can't see Kansas State wanting to get into an up and down game with Baylor. That doesn't seem like a smart strategy. So I like the under. Again, not a guarantee type situation, but one where there's way more ways it goes under than it goes over, in my opinion. Jake, what side are you on here?
Yeah, I'm actually laying the points with Baylor. I think this Kansas State team, it's a good team. It's just a bad timing for this matchup, like situation-wise. Like all the wind got taken out of their sails in that Kansas game. Baylor has kind of found their groove again, and it's first home game since dropping the back-to-back games. Kansas State's going to need somebody else besides Pac, Noel, and Smith to step up, and they just don't have it. And I thought it might be McGurl after looking at the roster because I feel like he's been there since the school was founded, but he hasn't had a really great year, and Baylor is just loaded with talent. I think they cover this, and I think it goes under because blowouts and overs don't go together.
Exactly. Moving on to an 8 p.m. Central tip, Mississippi State at Kentucky. On this one, I've got a B pick for you, Kentucky minus 9.5. The model thinks it should be about 11. I was going back to Mississippi State. I'm curious to see if you agree with this take, but they've got a lot of wins, but I don't see a lot of impressive games on their resume. They lost by 8 to a Florida team without their best player, and that was really bad, in my opinion, a side that we were both on. They beat Bama, but Bama is just so erratic. I don't know what that means. Like beating Bama, losing to Bama kind of is just like, well, which Bama showed up? They lost to Colorado State. They got crushed by Louisville. That was early in the season, but they have a lot of wins over bad teams. They have a couple of rough losses. They've got a good record, but I don't think they're in the same stratosphere as this Kentucky team. What's your take, Jake?
So I think I can't argue any of the points you're making, but I think they're a team that had a few transfers come in, so I think they're hitting their groove. The Florida game was really surprising to me. I thought they were going to be all over that, especially when Castleton was out.
Right.
But don't sleep on them. They rank off 18th in offensive efficiency. They're a very good team, and they have some big guys with DJ Jeffries and Garrison Brooks that are very good and haven't really shown up yet. And so I keep waiting for them to break out. But that doesn't mean I'm on Kentucky for this one. I just don't sleep on this Mississippi State team. Kentucky is just extremely talented. Ranked inside the top 10 for offensive efficiency, 17th with defense. They're fourth in offensive rebounding rate. I mean, a lot of that's Shigwe, but I mean, that's over almost 1/3 of their misses they're bringing in, maybe a little better than that, which is, extra shots helps you win. The only bad part right now, and I haven't broken down too much, but they're only covering 58% of the games when they're a home favorite. And so I don't know if the numbers were too big early on and they've kind of found their groove or what was going on. But something to keep an eye on is Ty Washington, if he's going to play or not. Like that really changes their guard play. But I think either way they cover this kind of a shorter number, especially at home.
I feel like you pulled a not so fast on yourself there, right? You were like, hey, Mississippi State, don't speak about it, but not so fast self. I'm still going Kentucky. But, shifting from one team who just seems every year in Kentucky to start off a little bit slow as they gel together, figure it out, and play well, and a team you don't want to face towards the end of the season, to another one that seems to do the same thing every year, 9 p.m. Central Time, Colorado at Oregon. Dana Altman has done it again. Another disappointing start to the season, another magic show of, oh yeah, we can figure this out. This Oregon team is starting to play really well. It's an A pick for me, Oregon -7. The model thinks Oregon -9.5. Jake, what's your opinion here?
Yeah, I'm all over Oregon on this. They are really finding the right track here and getting going. Like even their last like loss with Baylor was an 8-point game, and they were in that the whole
They were in it the whole
time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was an incredible game. Like even like some of their metrics are switching. Like they rank towards the bottom in free throw percentage, but in their last 3 to 5 games, they're hitting 84 instead of the 65 that they were averaging. Like, and so a lot of the other metrics are switching like that. It's like they've I don't know what switch he flipped, but apparently Oregon just took off when he hit it.
Yeah.
His Colorado team they're good. They're not going to beat anybody better than them. They're going to beat the teams they're supposed to and lose to everybody that's better than them. Like their last 6, they're 3-3, losing to Arizona, USC, and UCLA, but beating Arizona State, Washington, and Washington State. So they beat who they're supposed to and lose to who they're not supposed to beat. I'm not going to surprise you. They're a good defensive team and offensive, but Oregon's got this. Especially the way they're playing, it won't be that close.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you doubted Dana Altman early in the year, I think I had some doubts there. Those were proven wrong. Yet again, you should never doubt that man. Sticking in the Pac-12, the game of the night, 10 p.m. Central, Arizona at UCLA. This should be a fantastic game. Arizona is a short 2.5-point road favorite. My pick is under 151.5. That's a B pick. For you, the model thinks it should be 150. Arizona has an amazing offense. Don't get me wrong, but they also have an amazing defense. With a game that's expected to be this tight, I think you got a couple of things that factor here. UCLA sometimes gets into a turtle offense a little bit. They kind of like to rely on that defense. I expect a slow start to this game, being such a big game. I expect if things are tight to slow down in the second half. We got to watch out for that middle situation, right? These teams can put up points in a hurry. So that's the kind of one thing to watch out for. This is a lot of points, and this is one of those where we just need a nice little 5-minute stretch where there's only 8 points scored or something, and the under is going to be an easy hit here. Jake, which side are you on here for this matchup?
I'm on Arizona. The over/under scares me either way, just because of the way Arizona's offense goes. But I mean, I think UCLA is a fraud team. I don't think they're as good as anybody says they are. They've got 5 guys that contribute, and none of them are that great. I mean, well, I'll take that back. Juzang is that kind of good.
Yeah.
But other than that, nobody is really that impressive. And Arizona, if you haven't watched them and you got nothing to do tomorrow, stay up, watch this game. Arizona is an incredible team.
They're a fun team to watch for sure.
Yeah, and Ben Mathurin is. I don't know why people aren't talking about him as much, because he is one of the best players I've seen play this year. He's just incredible, and they are absolutely insanely good. And I think they run away with this. I think this ends up being 15 or so.
Wow.
Like, I hate this UCLA team. I don't. So I think like I said, I think they're a fraud. They're struggling to win against decent teams, and they have a very thin bench. Plus, the home court advantage they have is almost wiped out with no fans.
Yeah, I was going to kind of wrap up with that comment. You have UCLA traditionally is an up and down home court, right? There are a lot of things to do in LA. You hear all those stories about home court being a little lacking, but then with no fans, kind of makes that where this would have been the game where you would have said all the students need to be there, all the locals want to watch good basketball, but with no fans in the stand. We talked earlier about timing, right? The timing that you get certain teams. This is the perfect time for Arizona to play at UCLA as opposed to when the building's packed. So it should be a fantastic game, like you said, if you're able to stay up and watch that one. I've got some buzzer beaters for you, your exclusive pod content. The total of the day, I'm going 5:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm going under 160 in Bama and Georgia. That's a really high number. And so I'm taking the under in that one as the total of the day. I think that Bama is so inconsistent. Again, all we need is just one spurt where they kind of go cold, and then it'll be really tough to hit that number. The total of the day, it's not an official place. This is one where I have a pick on the side of Cincinnati Temple, but I'm also going to give out the under 134. Temple's had a little bit of a layoff here between their last game, so any bit of rust there should help us get that one to the under. The A-plus pick of the day, 6 p.m. Toledo -4.5 versus Buffalo. I think that Buffalo is getting a lot of respect for previous years, how good they've been, but they are not nearly as good this year. Toledo is the real deal. I think they get a nice, easy home win. The best B-side, 6 p.m. Missouri State -6 at Indiana State. The model has faded Missouri State a lot. It hasn't worked. I'm glad it's come around. I think this is a great spot to back Missouri State. And the last one for you, every dog has its day. I'm taking Ball State plus 120 to get the outright win at home against Miami of Ohio. Jake, what are your buzzer beaters?
So I'm on this Colorado State team. One of the best offensive teams from any statistic out there. I think they cover the 7.5 in Nevada very easily, especially at home. And my second one, I have kind of a dog of the day, right? I like Air Force. I'm not sure why they are an underdog to the San Jose State team, who's just a very rough team. And Air Force has been playing very well recently. So I like them to win. And I'm not sure why these Bama over like numbers for the over under are so high. Like it's like they're still using last year's team metrics to grade this year, especially 160 for this Georgia team that
Right.
is not very good.
Yeah, I don't know how Georgia's going to score. I mean, for this team to over, I feel like Bama's going to have to score 100, which is possible. But I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't quite make sense to me. I've got their drop a comment game here. Last one, not an official graded record for us other than in the sheet here. But I just want to point out Villanova, favored by 16 at home to DePaul, is a fascinating matchup to me. I think we both are in the sheet. I think we're both taking Villanova, but we don't, neither one of us feel very confident about it. Not enough to, to talk about, break this game down. It's interesting to me. I've liked this DePaul team, but I've got the math saying, lay these points with Villanova, but my brain is looking at this saying the math has said lay a lot of points with Villanova lately, and it hasn't worked out. So this is our drop a comment game. I'm curious to hear what y'all think about Villanova DePaul. Do y'all trust the math here and say, yeah, Villanova's going to can lay and win this big number here, cover that? Or is it one of those where it's just too many points? I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are. Jake, any parting words on that game you want to throw out there?
The only thing to look out for is DePaul Freeman Liberty, which is just a great name.
It is.
Is if he's back. If he's back, then man, I don't know where Nova's getting 16. But if he's not, that's the only X factor to me.
Yeah, fascinating matchup to me. I'll be curious to see how that one plays out. And that's what I've got for you today. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Picks with the Professor. Reminder, check out that Google Sheet for picks and totals on every single game. If you haven't done so yet, click that subscribe button. We'll get you a new episode every weekday of the college basketball season. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.